Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. We have Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence Jr. coming up. But I watched a video, one of Mighty Max Boxing's videos yesterday. Very good channel, Mighty Max Boxing. Go and give him a sub. He's a young man, very, very knowledgeable about the game. But he raised an issue that I've heard a few people say actually, and it's got me kind of worried. And that is that Max feels that Crawford will win the fight on points legitimately, but will get robbed. And the reasoning behind it, as he sees it, is that Spence is almost 30. Spence is 33, whereas Crawford is nearly 36. So therefore, there's more mileage potentially or supposedly with Spence. So it would be better if he won for all concerned because there's money to be made, not just at welterweight, but I mean, let's say Spence does beat Crawford. I know there's a rematch clause, but could he get out of it? He can certainly move to 154, maybe even middleweight. And don't forget, Spence is down to fight Canelo in a few fights' time. That's the plan, the tentative plan anyway, provided Canelo gets through Charlo and whoever the other person was. But also, let's not forget that Errol Spence is the PBC fighter, or has been the PBC fighter for all of his career, and therefore, even though Spence has, I hate this expression, but gone over to that side of the street, bloody awful expression, nevertheless, those promoting will favour Errol Spence because he's been the loyal servant, so to speak. So, yeah, as we know, boxing judging is frequently under the microscope and is frequently, when we look down that microscope lens, we don't like what we're seeing. Last Saturday we had Maxie Hughes and George Kambosos, and whereas I feel that was a close fight, a lot of people felt it was a robbery. It was the same with Devin Haney and Lomachenko. Last year we had that appalling travesty with Catterall and Josh Taylor. Yeah, do you know what? I don't want to believe that the scorecards or the scoring might not be fair, but I'm struggling to convince myself. I don't like to be cynical. Well, you shouldn't be cynical about anything in life because otherwise you end up just being a bitter person. But you should always, always, always be questioning things. That's not cynicism. Being skeptical is not being cynical. And of course, you don't want to come across as being naive either. I really hope that Mighty Max Boxing and those who are saying the same thing are wrong. And I'm not saying they are. I'm just hoping they're wrong. I'm sure they're hoping they're wrong as well. But yes, it does ring true, doesn't it? Crawford nearly 36. Let's say Crawford was to get the decision. Where would he go from there? He's unified the division. Could move up to super welterweight, but he isn't a big welterweight. He makes welterweight easy. So defences. There's not a great deal of money for a man of that age who will have been undisputed in 2 weight divisions as well as picking up a lightweight belt as well. Where would he go from there? Whereas with Spence, younger man by 2 years or 2.5 years, a lot of money to be made still. Yeah, I just hope that we're wrong, put it that way. What do you think? I want to hear your comments about this. This is really why I'm doing the video. I don't have a great deal to say on it because I think other people have said it all and I'm just really worried about it. Do you think that we'll get that Crawford will get a fair crack at the whip? If it's a close fight, are we going to see a situation where people start screaming blue murder again? Oh, it's a close fight, but my guy didn't win, so obviously it's a robbery and blah blah blah. What would constitute a robbery? Let's say it's a draw. Are we going to hear that? I mean, don't forget, the first Canelo-Golovkin fight was a draw and people screamed robbery. I thought that was a relatively close fight. Again, see, I don't like the word robbery. It gets thrown around willy-nilly, and very often robberies are not robberies. But how do you think this is going to be scored? See, my prediction is that Crawford will win. I think The first, I divide this fight into three sections, right? Obviously, beginning, middle, and end. All right. The first 4 rounds, I think you'll probably see they'll be a little bit tentative to start with, but I think Spence will probably be ahead after 4 rounds. I think in the middle rounds, Crawford will come back into it. He'll have had a look. He'll start to his IQ, the old IQ grey matter will be rumbling away. The little cogs will be, the little hamps will be on the wheel. He'll have sussed out what he needs to suss out, and then he'll go through the gears in the middle rounds and put Spence under pressure, and will win that middle section of the fight. And then I see Crawford winning that. If you imagine them as 3 contests, well, actually it's 12 contests, 12 little individual contests. But let's say beginning, middle, and end. Let's say that Spence wins the beginning. The middle, I think that's when Crawford gets his skates on and starts rocking and rolling. And I think in the last third, those so-called championship rounds, I think Crawford's variety and imagination will take over, and you've got to wonder about Spence at the weight as well. Maybe he'll be huffing and puffing a bit. I think that's where Crawford will win the fight. That's my opinion. I think it's going to be a close-ish decision for Crawford. But will he get the decision? Yeah, I'm not convinced. And whatever the cards say, let's not forget the early rounds as well, because very often when we hear this word robbery thrown around, people immediately go, well, he won the last third of the fight or the last quarter or whatever, and he came on stronger then. But what about don't forget the early rounds. There's an art to scoring a fight, and it involves, as I said earlier, 12 little individual contests, and if you want to break down the little individual contest, which is a round, with the men, at least you've got 3 minutes. So who wins the first minute, who wins the second minute, and who wins the third minute? That's why I don't like giving drawn rounds. I hate that. But it will be interesting to look at these cards and break them down and see, was there any sort of skullduggery, or maybe it'll be a fight that's difficult to score as well, because they're two such terrific technicians that. And I do see it starting off quite tentatively. They're going to have a look at each other, especially Bud. Bud likes to have a look at you. Errol's more of a, he comes forward a bit more. I can see Errol using the jab as well a bit more in the early rounds, and trying to control. I think there'll be a battle for the range as well at some point. And I think eventually, probably in the middle rounds, like I say, going through the gears, Bud will take over and might win that battle. But don't forget, these are 2 pressurized guys, so it's, pressure fighters. So when they do get going, when they do start, getting up close and personal, there's going to be a lot of up close stuff going on here. A lot of it, maybe not a phone booth war, but certainly a lot of up close and personal stuff. Yeah, but anyway, I'm digressing again. Go and have a look at my prediction video if you're interested. But let me know, are these going to be fair scorecards or not? I'm not so sure. I'm worried. Let me just say I'm worried. But I want to hear your opinions. Opinions below. Let me read them. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Hit the like button if you don't mind. Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Let's build it up. Come on, we're going to need another about 100 and something subscribers, 120, 130 subscribers to get to 2,000. Not bad going. Yeah. Anyway. I never thought we'd ever get 500, but Christ, we've done all right. Spread the word. Speak soon. Bye for now.